All systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, a.k.a. ToeTagginTambo, back for another edition of the main Slate NFL show here on the SHIPIT Nation YouTube station. Week 5, going to break things down. We got 10 games. Going to go through roster construction, ownership, game by game, break it all down with hoop and title. With me, as always, excited for this one. A lot of good names in the chat. If you are just joining us for the first time, we appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe, get access to all the free shows. Hit that like button on the way in. And then we do have a promo right now, shipitnation.com, 5 days all access for just $19. So if you want to check that out, it's any monthly all access plan, including the SaberSim plan. So just go all access, go down to the $139 plan, $19 for 5 days, whatever you want to do to check it out. We've had a huge weekend so far. College football, crushed. MMA last night, crushed. Now let's do it for NFL. Hoopster, bring you in, man. 10 games. What's going on?
Excited for the slate, but nothing gets me going on a Sunday NFL morning like title grinding the fucking camera over there. I mean, that really that is the true sign. That is the true sign that it's Sunday morning. You hit that live button off, and then you get that finger right in the camera to get things started. So that gets me pumped up. That gets me ready to go. Finally have some buys though. So down to 10 games, like you said. Not the full 12. Very appealing spots. I think there's some sneaky spots that we'll kind of talk through. Many options. I mean, running back is absolutely loaded. We have wide receiver, always a ton of options at wide receiver. Tight end, maybe a little bit weak, but man, like there's some really, really good plays, especially at running back. So we'll talk through it all. Excited to be here and excited to, try to find that path to the top today.
Yeah, we'll do a grand scheme overview in a second, but it just reminded me when you did that hoop and then thinking a title. Anyone who knows I think it's like Ace Ventura or whatever, where he's like in and he's peeking in the people thing there. That's like title with the camera right up in it's based on that and just make it its own thing. So title, what's going on, baby? Free money Sunday. We're here.
Yeah, I hope you got some 3% Josh Oliver to kick it off on the early game.
At every freaking showdown slate, backup tight end Josh Oliver. He's the guy.
Yeah, literally, my buddy was just
saying found the box.
Yeah, from Cam Akers. There you go. A little Cam Akers to Josh. I have no clue. I wasn't watching, but I did check my teams. I got 3 teams with Josh Oliver. So yeah, nice. Interesting start.
You're live.
The tight ends, Fan and Oliver. I don't know if that's setting up for tight end day. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, good slate, 10 games. It's just the running back room is starting to get a lot of injuries, so you just have a lot of cheap, mispriced starting running backs, which then opens up normal roster construction that leads very similarly. Why would you punt a 3K receiver or something when you can play a cheap 4K running back? Now, that's obviously the chalk build. You can do that to get different, but roster construction-wise, I think it's pretty clear that way.
Something super interesting you said that is kind of just funny, but a joke at the same time. But like the is it tight end day? That is interesting because we always talk about the importance of a onesie position. Alex and I talked yesterday about finding a separator in your lineups. Well, this is a spot where there's 3 tight ends that everybody's playing, and that could be 70% of the ownership at tight end. It feels like it's super high this week for the 3 tight ends, and we'll get to them throughout. But if you like a Dalton Schultz or something like that, maybe Hoopster's guy over there, anything else you like should probably come in a lot lower owned this week, and that could be a way to make some of your popular stacks, or if you go with those chalkier running backs and whatnot, you can get different that way. Marcus comes in with the early good comment of the day. It costs $0 to hit the like button and subscribe. True. The thumbs up. That's good. And then it says content A1 steak sauce. I think he's putting a little inside joke on that because Hoop needs some sauce with that well done shit. So that's what I'm saying, Marcus. He knows. We appreciate you being here. Jake the Take in the building. Lots of good people in the chat. Awesome to see on a Sunday morning. Hoop, I mentioned the tight end thing. I think that's important. You mentioned a lot of running backs. That's definitely another thing. There's 7 or 8 running backs. They can't all be 30, 40% owned like people try and assume in some cases, but you can mix and match those guys. And then I think there's just 2 or 3 games that people have sort of pinpointed it down for their stacks anything else from you for a grand scheme overview before we get started?
Yeah, a lot of people talking about the tight end stuff. Like, there's just not a lot of options when you look at. I mean, you look at running back, and it's like, man, there's 12, 15 guys that you could potentially play. So many running backs, so many cheap running backs. You get to tight end, and then it's like, okay, yeah, McBride, Warren, maybe Ferguson. Then after that, it's like, do I really want to play some of these guys? So you got to keep that in mind. A lot of people are going to be thinking that as well. And I think a lot of it does go to Warren. A lot of sites have Warren projected straight up higher than McBride, and he's cheaper. So what's going to happen? People are just going to play Warren. Like, does that give us an opportunity to play McBride? Well, the thing is, people are still going to be playing McBride just because there's not many other options at the tight end position. So that is very important. And then running back for sure. I mean, nailing these cheap running backs. We have 3 very, very cheap underpriced running backs. Got to kind of nail the position. It's not like with running back with these cheap guys, like, all right, give us 12 or 13 and we're good and we move on. I mean, you have a loaded mid-tier that we'll talk about. There's guys in the 5, 6K range that look very, very nice. You get to the top and you have some absolute killers up there. You got Jonathan Taylor, you got Acham without Tyreek, you got Jahmyr Gibbs up there. So, like, if you're playing these cheap running backs, don't play them under the assumption that you just need like double digits from them. You need to nail the position. You need dudes that are going to go off. So yes, fine playing those cheap running backs, but I'm going to be a little cautious with it because I just think you're going to need a big score. There's so many guys that can go off. That's not even mentioning Jahmyr Gibbs, where the Lions are projected to score 30. You got Saquon, who hasn't done anything all year, but we know what Saquon Barkley is capable of doing. So Derrick Henry as well, with no Lamar, no one's going to play him. He can score. He can get us a hat trick any game. Like, he's done it multiple times. So got to be careful, I think, with the running backs today.
Title, I want to ask you this question. I think, it's interesting, but 10 games we go down to. The running backs, yes, like I love Hoop's point there, because if you got the cheap running back, it makes other stuff work, sure, but also you want the best possible score when you have only 3 spots maximum that you can use. Like our boy Nades, I just pulled up the comments, said probably a 3 running back day in the chalk builds. Yeah, like for sure, a lot of people are playing that. But do you think there's a chance here that this could be a lower scoring slate based on less games, there's no like 55-point total, like some crazy game that's in the afternoon that everyone's focused on. And then because it is a little bit condensed around at least the stacking of stuff, it does feel to me like it could be a lower scoring slate, in which case you'd really want to be find those ceiling scores that pop and are needed, because the more of those you can fit into your lineup, the better. You have any thoughts around that? And then anything else for your grand scheme overview?
I could see it mainly, like, I don't really see the running back room having a lowish score. I think it would be the receivers, and then we don't, like, if Warren and McBride don't really get there's not too many appealing options there. So I think it would just be more, you see running backs with flames or get there, and then quarterbacks maybe just get you low 20s, no receivers going off for like 27 plus, and you do get it lower scoring there. So yeah, I could see that for sure.
And the other thing I've seen a lot this week, again, literally anything can happen. It's NFL, it's DFS, it's tons of things can go your way, but I think you do still need to think about the slate as a whole, and that's why we do the grand scheme overview. Like, I see a lot of people saying, let's just play 2 tight ends. Could that get there? Yes, but it goes almost similar to what Hoop had mentioned earlier, just in a bit of a different way. It's like you better hope that tight end is breaking out that third running back that could be in that lineup, or that extra receiver in a game stack, or anything like that. So I definitely think it's possible. Anything is, but it's way less likely when you have certain slate dynamics. Hoop, anything else you got? If not, we are going to start with the first game. It is the Texans at the Ravens. You mentioned it, no Lamar Jackson for the Ravens, and it's actually moved to the Texans being a favorite now at this point. I'm currently seeing them as a 1-point favorite on the road in Baltimore.
Yeah, I just someone found the Ace Ventura GIF online and tagged us, so I retweeted it and tagged the whole crew. But it's literally perfect. Our guy
someone put Title's face on that. We got all this AI shit.
Oh, yes.
Pop that title with the camera and moving his finger and do the same thing.
Before the end of the show, someone needs to get that with Title's face with like the finger pointing out.
Yeah, just let him add the finger while he's doing the swoop movement. Just get Title with his finger in there. It'll be the best. We'll use it for centuries to come.
Yeah,
with the new that could be we'll be living for 200 years now.
That could be the new show opener, right?
Yeah.
We can put that camera back up here. No, it's not happening. I'm too tilted with that thing.
Oh, it's too good. All right, sorry, I was distracted by that. Which game?
Houston at Baltimore. Yeah. Baltimore is now an underdog at home in this game. Yeah. Cooper Rush at the helm, and like you mentioned, it could be Derrick Henry day. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a tough spot for Baltimore. I mean, you look at a lot of these teams, and the backup quarterbacks can come in, and you really don't need to change all that much. Well, with Lamar Jackson, probably doesn't matter who it is, but maybe a running quarterback would be a little bit of a less change. But going to Cooper Rush, they're going to have to change everything today, obviously, and that's why they find themselves as underdogs at home to the Houston Texans. So in terms of fantasy, what can we do here? Derrick Henry should be very low owned. I mean, there's a path where they just give him the ball a ton. In my 150, I want to make sure I have some Derrick Henry. Like he, again, can nuke any slate at any time with 3 touchdowns. So him at like no ownership, interested. They're going to have to pass it more. I mean, Zay Flowers, these are definitely uncomfortable plays, but they're going to be very low owned. But it's not like they have a quarterback that's going to run the ball 10 times. They're going to have to pass. And if they are playing from behind, they might have to pass a little bit more. So I do like a little bit of Zay Flowers. And then, maybe tight ends weak, maybe a little Mark Andrews. On the Texans side, great call to our guy Title last week with Woody Marks. I mean, it looks like he's taken over that position. The problem this week, though, is like, man, he's going to have to – there's a lot of competition at running back. We've talked about it a ton so far in the show, and he's going to have to put up a real big boy score, I think. And it's possible, but I probably won't have much just because those other guys are in better spots and cheaper. And then Nico Collins, I think, can play every week, and I don't think he'll be particularly high owned by any means. So I think he's a fine option as well. But these are all low owned plays. I would say everything here is going to be low owned. Even I think Nico Collins probably gets squeezed a little bit. So yeah, I don't mind getting. I guess it depends how many teams you're building. If you're building a lot, I would definitely get some exposure to both sides of this a little bit.
Yeah, I think Title, this one's interesting. This stuff gets brought up all the time. It helps when you used to be in the same division as them and you would play them twice a year for a guy like Henry to get these games against them. But I do think it is interesting, and I actually still there is no homer on this. I'm just telling you the Ravens win these. This is what happens. The Ravens win when you don't think they're going to win, and Cooper Rush sucks, and there's no way, and the Ravens D's been so bad, et cetera, et cetera. Like the Ravens are at home as an underdog. They're better in Baltimore anyway. This is just the type of spot, and I still see them coming out with the win here. But what's your thoughts on this game for DFS perspective?
Yeah, I really don't like the game. It's the lowest total on the slate. But like Coop said, just pretty bad on the organization and the fact that most teams do have a backup quarterback. Jaden Daniels, all right, you got Mariota. Like, you don't have to change the whole scheme. I mean, Cooper Rush is a statue versus a moving quarterback. I think they're just going to try and take the air out of the football, run it with Derrick Henry, play action, easy throws, milk the game. And if that's the case, I don't want it. Woody Marks is my favorite in this game for sure. He can catch passes. The problem is the running back room is so loaded. But if he does what he did last week, like I'll promise you'll take that score. His ownership has to be very low. Ravens defense has been atrocious. I don't know if you have any takes on how they get better or if they will by the end of the year, but I'm tired of watching this team just get walked on every single possession. Woody Marks or nothing, and I'm kind of leaning the nothing side in this game.
Yeah, it's Derrick Henry for me. I'm sticking with my plan here. Again, it's totally different no matter how you see the game play out. I mean, you have to think about that when you're building your lineups. But if you got first of all, Texans D is super popular. So give me the Ravens going up against that, which is going to be the best spot for me is Derrick Henry. Second of all, the O-line got a little bit healthier, and that's how the D gets. The way the Ds typically get better, again, player-wise, they need the players to come back. But the way they typically get better, it really helps when you have a lead in a game. You can be ahead. You can make them play from behind. All those sort of things. So I'm just hoping that it goes that way. Like Hoop said, the time Derrick Henry goes off is not because he is playing Houston and has stats from back in the day or anything like that. Usually the time Derrick Henry goes off is when nobody wants him and nobody's playing him. And then they're like, wow, think about after the slate ends, how many times you look back and been like, oh, 7K Derrick Henry at home, no Lamar Jackson, Texans D chalk, and like 5% of the field wanted him. Oh, and he scored 2 touchdowns. That's when I wanted Derrick Henry. So yeah, I like the spot. I don't have a ton otherwise. I think like if you want to stack Stroud, Collins, Kirk with Derrick Henry or Zay or something like that and do it. I know my man Ham on FanDuel got me a little bit interested in that, the pricing and whatnot, but not super high on this game. But when I'm in this game, I'm going to be on Derrick Henry, and I like that spot going up against the defense. It's a little bit popular. All right, Hoop, I'll go back to you. Dolphins at the Panthers up next.
Yeah, I think, a game where, again, we have some injury stuff on both sides. I mean, no Tyreek on the Miami side, and then no Chuba Hubbard on the Carolina side, which opens up some value for sure. The Dolphins are projected to score 23. It's not a massive number, but it's pretty big, I'd say, on the slate. And this isn't going to be like a defensive battle, I don't think, between these teams. So I think it is an interesting game, and I think you have clear plays on both sides. I mean, on the Miami side, Achane, I think, especially on DK, is probably the strongest play. So many outs to get there. We kind of talked about him all season in this same sense. It's like he can get there in any sort of game script. If they're playing from behind, he can get 8 catches. If they're playing with the lead, he gets the goal line work. And then obviously, if it's in a neutral situation, he's going to be out there as well. So just a very safe play and a lot of outs for him. No Tyreek. I'm very interested in Waddle, 5,400 and then like 5,800 on FanDuel. He's their wide receiver 1. He's been able to produce in this sort of role, so I'm good with him. And then Malik Washington's already had a pretty big role all season long. Like, he's been a part of this offense. Now he's going to slide into wide receiver 2 and cheap. Probably my favorite cheap wide receiver on the slate. And then Darren Waller came back, looked good, caught a couple touchdowns, weak position. Interested there. Panthers side. No Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, I think, is totally fine. 4,300, very, very cheap. But again, I'm going to keep saying this about these cheap running backs. You got to envision them getting upper teens to 20, I think, today. And I do think Rico can get there, but it's no slam dunk. We wouldn't be surprised at the end of the day if he ends up with 5. That wouldn't be a surprise by any stretch of the imagination. But going to play him, but he's going to have to produce. And then Ted McMillan is great. I think great run back. I think this game's perfect for like a secondary stack, because I don't really want to play these quarterbacks all that much. So, Achane and McMillan together, Waddle and Rico together, maybe even a 2-1 secondary, like Achane, Washington with Ted McMillan. Like, this game, a part of this game is going to be on the winner, I think, today. And I'm going to have a lot of all those pieces that I kind of mentioned. I think it's a very good game, but I don't want to use the quarterbacks.
Okay. I think if I'm going the quarterback side in this one, I would be going Bryce Young, like Bryce, Tet, Tommy Tremble. I'm fine with that. And then I like a couple interesting things from just the even a secondary stack that's a little bit different. If you need a cheaper one, like the Dowdle, he was already getting work with Hubbard in there. And now he's going to be without Hubbard. And again, it's small favorite at home, whatever. Are they even still favorites? I mean, at one point, I think I saw them there 1 point.
It's close to a pick on like 1.5.
Yeah, they're not. It flipped the other way on my book now. And Miami's up to 1. They started the week as a 1.5 point favorite. But either way, we know Achane is super popular in this. So I think the other thing you brought up, though, Hoop, that I think is really solid is with Malik Washington, another guy on the other side that, automatically, of course, Waddle is going to be the new wide receiver 1 because there's no Tyreek Hill, and that's just the way the depth chart goes. But that's also oftentimes we can see this where that doesn't always mean they become the wide receiver 1 in the sense of the defense just locks in on that, and all of a sudden the other guy, Washington, becomes the guy that's wide open at 3,900. So you could have like a Dowdle Washington secondary stack in this and get different that way. But the biggest thing on this one, title, I think, is with Achane. Whether or not you fully believe that's the exact ownership that we're going to see on him, but it does seem like he's super popular. If that's the case, the way that I said today, like you could slice and dice it, is if you go to the other side and just use him in a stack, like Bryce Young, Tet, Achane, something like that. And if you want to add Tremble and do it that way too, you could do it you could go that route. But what's your thoughts on Achane and then the rest of this game?
Yeah, I mean, Achane's mini McCaffrey in the sense that he can just be so inefficient on the ground, even through the air, and get there with 7 catches. With how this offense is designed, and even more so without Tyreek. Like, they're going to need to get him the ball in space even more. So I think it's a very strong play, but by no means, there's no such thing as a lock in pretty much any sport. But with how good the running back room is, he gets you 21, kind of like the point Hoop keeps saying. Like, if I knew he was getting 21 on this slate at ownership, I would be way under, if not have none. I would bet on your 3% Derrick Henry getting the box twice, Gibbs, JT. There's just so many guys. But he has that 35-point upside where I don't want to fade it. You can use it as a one-off skinny stack. So many ways to do it. I'm worried that Ted McMillan's going to be my Drake London for 3 years, where I just keep playing this dude every week. The underlying metrics look good. The ownership's not really there. The price is fine. Good game environment. But, man, he just hasn't got in the box yet. He just hasn't had that game where you need him. I'm going to keep doing it today. Rico's chalk. You get the pivot right there if you want to do it that way. If he scores and it's not Rico, you can get a leg up the field. You can play Achane chalk on the other side. I'm definitely playing it. A lot of ways to do it. If you want to just go Waddle, Tet, I'm good with that as well. Those are the clear 4 plays: Achane, Rico, Waddle, Tet. I think Achane's clearly the best. Washington, I was going back and forth on. I just came back to, like, the snaps. He and Westbrook-Akine had the same amount of snaps last week. Then on a slate where we have Michael Carter, Rashad White, Rico, good running back plays, like I mentioned earlier, his receiving prop's 27.5 yards. Like, man, I don't really know. Let's see what his touchdown prop was too. I don't
really like it was a one-off. I will
plus
say
360. Yeah, I agree with you. I guess he speed up the game and play him in a game stack. I guess. Yeah, I agree. I don't love it though. I don't love it.
Yeah, and I got to cook my man Aaron right quick for 2 seconds. You got to listen to these shows carefully. This has been a really popular show. People are liking how we're breaking this down. We are definitely not saying don't secondary stack. It's clear that there are certain people that play the most common secondary stack on the slate that would likely be better in a game stack. And so it's very certain secondary stacks. You definitely still want a secondary stack. We're talking about specific ones on that show as a way that people can start to recognize that that's not something that people look at DFS in a way of that being important. And the example was Breece Hall and Pickens. It can still work, as we said, but the idea if those two actually hit their ceiling game, and we'll get to that game later, it's likely that you're getting crushed by someone that has Dak with Pickens or Fields with Hall, with Wilson, with Pickens. And someone's usually coming up over the top, and that's going to really hurt your secondary stack versus, like Hoop mentioned in this one, you could easily put like a Dowdle with somebody from the other side. And that's just, you don't see the quarterbacks being the guys that get you all the way there, but you could still see young Waddle or like Dowdle Waddle or something like that come through for you. So I think hopefully that makes it more clear. Title, I'll stay with you. We got Raiders at the Colts. Interesting one here. It looks like, obviously Warren is going to be popular, but we have Ferguson who could pull from him a little bit later for $100 more. And then we also have Jonathan Taylor. I think, specifically on DraftKings at just 8K where, if you're paying up at running back, he's one of the first ones that come to mind. What's your thoughts on this Raiders Colts game?
I mean, yeah, JT's role this year is it's unbeatable pretty much. McCaffrey's up there too, but 92.5 rushing prop, minus 245 to score. He doesn't come off the field. Great game environments. Like, he's just slam dunk play. Again, if I knew he scored 21 or 22 at ownership, though, I'm going to bet on some of these other pivots up top not to get there. A lot of ways to play him, though. No Brock Bowers is obviously big for the Raiders in the sense of, like, Jacoby's ownership even went up more. I think Trey Tucker, after last week, 2 weeks ago, the nuke, everyone wanted to play him last week, kind of how salary worked out as a cheapie. We didn't have many. Now people aren't going to go there 4-7. He has one play, big time upside, as we saw. So I think he is interesting, especially because, like, I'll let you guys talk about, I'm not going to call them pennies, dimes, dollars, whatever you want to say. But if you are on that side playing Daniel Jones, I think Trey Tucker is a great run back. Again, Jacoby will be the owned one, but if this game really speeds up, Trey Tucker has that home run ability. So back to, like you said, with Washington, I definitely prefer Tucker when I am playing this game a lot. Tyler Warren, there's nothing bad to say. I mean, any tight end that when they got in the red zone will get 2 handoffs. That's what he had. He legit had 2 handoffs, and he scored on one of them. If you're that involved and your role is that big, especially when it gets inside the 20, you definitely have interest. He's clearly mispriced. I would argue one of the most mispriced players on the slate at 4.7K. With that being said, it's a onesie position, and all it really takes is someone cheaper, just one guy, outscoring him by 4 or 5. I don't know how many 2 tight end builds I have. I'm going to play a lot of Warren, but I'm struggling. I'm like, just how much Warren JT on the same team do I want? If I do that, then I play Jacoby. Well, now I just played all the chalk, like you're saying, in a secondary stack. If I'm doing that, I might as well just add in a quarterback, which Daniel Jones would be my favorite to do that. So I've struggled with so many ways to go about it. Build a portfolio. I like the idea of just JT and hoping it's a running game if you do it that way. But if you're starting to play the Tuckers and stuff, I would just go all in on the game environment, I think.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at with it too. Like the Colts do have a pretty big team total at home here, and that's for the Jonathan Taylor stuff. The props are just off the page. If I can get to JT, I'm just pushing him into my lineups. It's fine. Ways you can mix and match. Like you can get the Colts D because most people landing in that range like the Detroit at Cincy, or they like Arizona at Tennessee, for good reasons. But there's other options there that just has to keep them in check. So that's a way to do it where you're not on Warren and JT. If I'm stacking it up, maybe I'm going Danny Dollars with Pittman, with Warren, and then bringing it back. One most interesting thing, Hoop, I'll kick it to you now, is everybody wanted $5,400 Myers last week. He disappointed everyone. Now nobody really wants. He's like, what, 10% maybe that we see Myers come in at, and no one really wants Trey Tucker. Bowers is doubtful, so we don't even have him in there right now because Myers already out. They've already called up Alberto or whatever as another backup tight end beyond Thomas and the other guys. So I don't know. It does look like there's a possibility we could see some back and forth here. What do you think of this game, Hoop?
Yeah, with the Colts side, I mean, yeah, it's clear. Jonathan Taylor, Warren at tight end, they're going to probably be the highest owned guys at their respective positions. Taylor obviously has more competition because there's more running backs. But like nothing really to add. Like I think they're great plays. I'm good with Daniel Jones, and then some Pittman and Downs I think is fine when stacking. So they're all good plays. I'm going to have a lot of them, and cool with that. The interesting part to me is definitely on the Raiders side, and I think you kind of talked about it. If we had this Brock Bowers news on Wednesday that he wasn't going to play, Jacoby Myers is probably one of the highest owned guys on the slate. People are left with not as much time to react. He's still going to get up there. It's going to be higher than the 10. I mean, it's going to increase for sure. But even with that being said, it's going to be lower than it would have been if we got this news earlier in the week. And I think he's a really, really strong option. I mean, who else are they going to throw the ball to? It's like him and Trey Tucker. So I want Trey Tucker as well. I want a lot of Trey Tucker. So Myers and Tucker, I think, are phenomenal plays in all formats. If this line does hold true and the Raiders are playing from behind, like we've seen them, they're willing just to chuck the ball. Like if they chuck the ball, where is it going? Like it has to go to those two. So I'm really in on the Myers and Tucker stuff here today. All the Colts pieces are, I think, strong, but yeah, I want, if I am playing Daniel Jones and Warren, and then, mixing in the wide receiver, I want like Myers and Tucker on the other side. I think they're both phenomenal plays. They're not going to throw the ball 10 times to Albert O. I can guarantee you that. So I think Myers and Tucker are very strong options. Yeah,
and we just saw this. Our man Sheets get second in the Millie a couple of weeks ago. This is pretty much the exact spot as the other team crushed. They put up 40 something. I don't know if the Colts will do that, but that's what happened. And it was Geno with 3 pass catchers. Today it makes it even easier you go Geno 2 pass catchers if you want, and just go with Myers and Tucker. If you want to add in Thornton or something like that, I get it, but you just can roll them because they will just throw the ball a ton. Whether or not it works out, we'll wait and see. But definitely a way that you can get there if you had like Geno, Myers, Tucker, Taylor, or Pittman, and use up and then get different at the running back spots. If you think this game can go back and forth, there's definite ways to chop it up and get different. So I like that call out actually. And that's another interesting way that you could go about using this game, because it's like I say, this is one of the games that's not really being talked about as much. I do agree the chat is talking about, shout out to our guy, Go Collect, who said it here. He said, yeah, seeing steam now with Myers this morning. Looks like people want to play him now with the Bowers news. That's definitely true. And Go Collect will be joining us Monday on the Takedown Breakdown. So excited for him. Also, Adam Thiel added it in. And Adam Thiel, man, I'm excited. So he's got the sheriffship. He's our Golden SHIPIT number 16 winner. And he came correct. The Golden Core is on the site. The first one.
I like the path, man. I like the path.
Yeah, you see it? It's like this one is $1 million upside. Some of those other ones, like I get it. People won the ticket. They're playing a little bit safe. They're running with it. That's fine. Adam is playing to win all the money today, and that's what I love to see. So, Adam, I'm excited to see how that goes for you and for the rest of the crew over at SHIPIT Nation. If you guys want to join us, get in. You can start for just $19 for 5 days. Use code SHIP19. It's any monthly all-access plan, including the SaberSim plan. So, get in, check it out. If you've never used Contest Sims, you can try it on the Ultimate. If you want to go with the starter, which is what best for most people, you could do it for that one. It will renew in 5 days, but I've told you, it's the most affordable, most valuable content, and the only site in the DFS industry giving away $50,000 plus in cash with another $25K plus in prizes on top of it. So not many out there can say that. We love our community. We appreciate them. This is a fun way to have some fun throughout the NFL season with SHIPIT games. So let's keep it moving with these games. Hoop, I'm going to stay with you. We'll go Giants at the Saints.
Not a very appealing game. I mean, low total in this one, sitting at 42.5. Obviously, no Malik Neighbors out for the season. Kind of pulls away the appeal of the Giants offense. It looked good while it lasted, but it didn't last for long. Although, I mean, Dart's definitely an upgrade to dusty ass Russell Wilson. Like, man, that's an easy decision for them to separate from his ass. In terms of this game, though, like the Saints, I think can have some success offensively. This is like a classic. I wouldn't call it like a letdown spot, but the Giants off a big high, beating the Chargers. Chargers were basically 7-point favorites, so they got the big upset. Now they travel on the road to New Orleans, who looks like one of the worst teams in the NFL, but this is like the best spot New Orleans has had basically all season long. I think it's a good spot for New Orleans and even their offense to have some success. Like, I built an initial set of teams, and it included some Spencer Rattler, which is not a comfortable feeling, but man, it's like there are pieces here, like Olave, Shaheed, Juwan Johnson. Is he good to go? Like, I saw that he was.
What about Taysom Hill is back? 3K.
Taysom Hill is back. Yeah. So that's like somewhat annoying from a fantasy perspective. And I'm sure he'll do something stupid to kill the appeal of this offense. But I think it's an interesting spot for the Saints. In terms of run backs, you got them. Like, if you want Scatterboo, you want Wan'Dale Robinson, I think he's fine. I guess it kind of stops there. It's pretty crappy after that. So like, I'm not actively searching out Saints exposure, but in my 150 as it stands now, I have some, and I'm good with it. I'll let it run.
I'm letting it run. I'll tell you this. I'll get the title. I'll give you this to you in a second. But man, the other thing is, so there's just a very easy way to speed this game up, and it's in the Dome in New Orleans. It's Darius Break the Slayton and the guy that let us all down last week, Shaheed. And so if you go Dart, Slayton, Shaheed, you can fit anything you want and just hope that those two both get the bomb. And that will really pay those spots off. And then you've got Dart, who's just, I don't know, I thought he was fine. Plus, by the way, the Saints D might be the most popular on the slate because they're just 2,200 and people assume that's a great spot. Move it up. No Neighbors on the other side. Robinson can do things. He's in the slot. He can catch 10 balls for 40 yards. Just catch it for 4 and drop, and then eventually do something. But I don't know, Dart, Slayton, Theo Johnson at the tight end, another tight end spot you could fill out via a stack instead of the popular tight ends. Shaheed on the other side. I mean, Olave got a touchdown last week and still barely cracked 10. So it's a sad scene for our guy over there. And that's like him and Wan'Dale are so similar in that. But if you go Slayton and Shaheed broke our hearts last week, I do feel that's a possibility. You could go Dart, Scat, Slayton, Shaheed, really try and just fit it all. But Scat, 6K, all the running backs on this slate makes it a little bit tricky. Title, what's your thoughts here in this game? Obviously not the highest total, but could see how it could speed up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm a little different. My preferred way is to go Scat. I don't love this game much, but so Dart looked good. The problem with me playing Dart is then I have to pair him with someone, and you don't even have to. I should take that back. His rushing prop, 34.5 yards. Like, he has designed rushing plays for him, which then makes it trickier. Like, if it's not Slayton, Wan'Dale, and you can't miss, obviously, in tournaments. So you play Wan'Dale, Dart gets there, but Wan'Dale gets you 6, you're toast, or Slayton, or whatever it is that way. So I just struggle playing Dart with people. Saints D is popular, but there's going to be plenty of opportunity for sacks because Dart will bounce around back there and try and make plays, which can lead to mistakes. The reason I like Scats is he's minus 110 to score. He's clearly taken over the role. I think the read option with Dart's ability to use his legs, like, the defense has to prepare for that. There's more holes when you run a read option with the D end or someone having to sit. So I like that for Scat. And then it's priced at 6K. You go up a little bit, Hampton's going to be plenty more owned. Of course, and JT. If you go down a little bit, Breece Hall will be a lot more owned. And then there's other guys down there, the Rashad Whites of the world. So I just think he falls in a dead zone in a close game where if he falls in the box twice, he can easily get there that way. I still don't love this game, though. Oh, man, my next favorite play is Olave, but I really don't know. Like, the dude was negative for half the game, and then he catches the one touchdown to get nothing. All the targets are there, though. The Giants' D's been bad. If there was ever a spot where Olave has his game, today's the day. But I totally get what you're saying with Shaheed. If I were to, like, stack this game, I'm almost, I think, surely playing Shaheed because that's the one play, 60 yards, 2% ownership, and then Dart's got to play catch up. I do prefer the Dart side personally. If I were to stack this game and play quarterback, I think I like Dart and his rushing upside. Hope that Shaheed or someone pushes it, and then you get it that way. But I won't have too much of this one.
Hoop, this was probably too old for title, but do you remember this movie, Wild Things, with like Denise Richards or something back in the day? Junior came in and said, this is the best three-way since Wild Things. It's like, buddy, I forget who else is in it, the actors, but he's like in the pool. He got these two girls. It's like a three-way back in the day. It was like, oh, man, that's crazy. That's an old movie, though, man. Shout out to Junior for that memory.
No,
all right.
No offense to you fellas. I love you. Like we're family, but man, if I'm in that scenario, it ain't gonna be a two dudes. I can promise you.
Exactly.
I can promise you that.
The movie reference was good though, but yeah. And that's the thing. Like I said, the only way to me, like the only way this happens is if this happens. Meaning this game becomes a thing is if you get that sort of thing. Yeah, I think with Nev Campbell, Jay Steele said. See, people remember this one.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think the only way the thing about Scat though is like they did try and jam him so many times last week. He could be the 2-touchdown guy title. We get Scat in the box twice today. That could be the one. Hurt that. Like how often has a $2,200 chalk defense worked out? Like not very often. Just got to tell you that. So great. Welcome to Roto Bowser. And we appreciate you. The way to get into the SHIPIT games is very simple. You just become a monthly or more member of football or football only, which includes college football, by the way, crushed yesterday again, or all access, which is the best deal across. And I think people think you have to choose a team. If you're choosing one, we hope you choose us, but our stuff is super affordable. So you could so there's people with us that are with 3 other different sites, like just add it on as part of your stack. But our projections and ownership blended with SaberSim, that's what you need right there. That's the setup. And some people are starting with us as an add-on and then hitting us up through email and saying, can I get an annual deal? I'm canceling my other stuff. That happens too. So it's all to each their own, but definitely check it out. There it is. Nev Campbell, Denise Richards in the pool. Yeah, they know.
You were talking Saints, Steve.
What's that?
Yeah. Oh, you just put that up too. They're both going to be popular, but we got to start focusing on these more. This is what I've came after like the first 2 weeks when I just got buried. Last week, I actually thought about it. You don't always get it right, but Lions D ended up working out.
Yeah, you called the Lions.
It worked, but we thought I'm done punting these garbage defenses that get me 3. This is a Vikings week when everyone did it. Like you need defense. We don't focus on it much or so much variance, but it's a onesie position that if you don't have X sometime after the noon game, like you just are drawing dead almost. It feels like for the optimal. So I'm trying to think about defensive situations a lot more and manually bump and downgrade stuff because it's an important position. I think that just gets completely overthought. At least I did it for so many years.
Yeah. And I'll add in too, like, again, just there's not enough thought process going into it outside. Again, it is the super high variance position, but there's not enough thoughts from the leverage angles going into it. And I keep using the example, but like when Jordan Mason is going to be 40% owned or 35% owned, but nobody wants the defense. It's like, if he goes off, that puts the defense in a spot to be more successful. It's not really the old running back DST thing that everybody thinks, but it's the same thing today. If you really think Cooper Rush is going to have a bad day and the O-line even being back there doesn't help Derrick Henry and nothing goes your way and it's going to be Houston, well, then don't you think that would put Houston in a pretty good position? Maybe then it's with Woody Marks and maybe he's running it a bunch to then kill the clock down, or, some of these other positions and spots that you see, like why are the Saints the highest owned? Just because, like you said, you can just punt to them. That's why. Like, Dart runs it a bunch. There's tons of ways to move it around. Go ahead.
The reason is just because there's no correct answer really ever at defense, and there's no research process to get you. You can look at the D line and the O line stuff. I know a lot of people think they have the answer that way, and it's just no correct answer. Like whoever the top defense is, or if it's someone that goes off, you just kind of need them. And it's so fluky the way they can get there with, punt returns or kickoff returns. And there's just no research process to get you on the right one. Like last week, who was it? The Texans, right? Were popular. I believe.
Texans. Yeah.
Yeah. And they did well, but the Lions did, I think, better because they had a touchdown. It's very hard to research the position and come up with the right answer because any given week, I don't think there really is a correct answer.
It usually ends up being leverage. We do the takedown breakdown every Monday. We review it every Monday and look at it. It almost always ends up being something that you're like, that's what it correlates with or went against. And that's typically what it is. So that's why I say, especially for those single entry players out there, or those hand builders, or whatever you're doing, I would certainly be considering that last. Like, there's so many different ways. If a defense helps you get the guy that you needed, so you don't have to punt an additional position, there's going to be some way to think about it, or you might have more money to spend because another move suits your lineup better. But there's a ton of different ways to get different with it. Great points there by you, Title. Let's move on, Title. I'll stay with you. We'll go Cowboys at the Jets. This is the big game that everybody's talking about based on the situational stuff. Obviously, it's the Fields day, right? We're having it out there. We got Garrett Wilson, who just pairs easily. Breece Hall, way too cheap, with Braylon Allen out. Pickens on the other side, no Lamb. Jake Ferguson, we know that he always gets 100 targets per game when Lamb is out, so that's got to be thrown into the mix. But yeah, this is the game that everybody's targeting. What's your thoughts on this one and how we get different?
It's a money game. I think the way to get different is it's very easy to get different because people will be played. Everyone you play will be played in this game, but there's so many different ways to go. If you play Dak, who is already going to be pretty low on himself, you got Pickens, of course, you got Ferg if you want to double it, but Jalen Tolbert, he's a very cheap receiver that I definitely will be playing. He's the clear wide receiver too in this offense, opposite Pickens that's going to get all, the defense is going to be worried about. I prefer Tolbert to Washington because I prefer this game more. And again, you're flipping the build. You're getting a cheap receiver when you don't need to do that at all. It can allow you to spend at running back a lot more. And you're playing in this game. If you want to Breece chalk, but you go Tolbert on the other side. If you want to play the Dak stuff, there's so many ways to do it. So Javonte Williams, I'm struggling. I don't know if he's going to be 20%. I get it. He's minus 140. Yeah, I agree with you, Hoop. I just think the range is too loaded with Breece right there, with Hampton, with the Whites, the JTs. If he moonwalks back to 13%, maybe that's one way to play this game if you don't have too much exposure, because there's going to be ownership. Breece, Garrett Wilson, Pickens, Fields, so many plays that way. If it busts, I think it's Javonte just rushes in too, or they get 6 yards a pop and slow the game down a lot. I don't love Javonte if I'm trying to game stack this game as much, but that's why I build a portfolio of lineups. Then it's Pickens, Garrett Wilson, Ferg, Tolbert. The one guy I definitely will be playing some too when I'm playing Fields is Mason Taylor. I mean, this guy was the clear check down in the middle of the field, especially when they were trailing. It was just free points for him on Monday night. So my favorite way to play Fields, everyone's going to go Garrett Wilson. You had a point you posted on Twitter, and I know Rio has it in his core, so I'll give out for the premium side, Breece Hall and Justin Fields. You just get all the scoring that way. Breece can catch passes. But I really like Mason Taylor when I'm playing a chalky Fields in the middle of the field that no one's really going to go to.
Yeah, like that call quite a bit. I also think that, somebody asked this earlier about what game was it we were on? Oh, I think it was on the Raiders game. They said, would Genty be the leverage again like last week? No, because nobody wants anything else. Even if the late steam hits, which it is slightly, we're seeing that on Jacoby Myers. It's not on everybody there. I would say for sure this week's Genty, if it's going to be someone, is going to be Javonte Williams. It's going to be this spot. He's not going to be what the ownership gets spread out and it's all calculated, but we know certain guys steam and certain guys moonwalk backwards. That's obviously our guy DGen always had that with the golf stuff, and you can take it just as easily to the NFL stuff. So that's something we always talk about. This is definitely that spot, but what's not going to moonwalk is the Pickens, the Ferg. I mean, Ferguson could actually go up. He could steam even further than what I'm seeing right now. So this would be the spot where you would be more likely to see it, I think. And Javonte fits that mold. I actually think he's the same price. Wasn't Genty 6,200 last week in the exact spot? So maybe it works out that way too. But I could see that being a thing. Our guy, Tom Brady is gray, super sharp DFS player. He had a good one here. I know he's somewhat joking, but the 2 touchdown Javonte thing, he said 3. 2 could definitely be a thing. And I think that this week, if we see something like that, Hoop, it could be Javonte, but tons of other ways to get different within this game.
With the Javonte thing, yeah, that was close.
$1 million mute button.
No, that wasn't not. That was confirmed. You were talking.
Yeah,
I caught you.
It wasn't
close.
I was talking to the kids. I was talking to the kids first before I dove into the game.
Tell them I say hi.
I was joking. I wasn't. I just definitely caught on mute, and hopefully it leads to good things. So this is a good game, and the Javonte Williams thing has to come down a little bit. I agree with you what you said, Title. There's a couple other 2 running backs like. Who else was it? Oh, like Saquon. Saquon has to get squeezed here today as well. We haven't gotten to that game yet, but his has to come down. But Javonte, I think, is definitely closer to 12 to 15 range, just kind of has to be. But yeah, like this is a good game. I mean, Fields is going to get ownership. Dak isn't. Like, you know, I'm on both of them for sure. But like for my main teams, like I'm fine just going back to Dak. And no, I did not wear the jersey today. And like people talk shit. Like last time I was on Dak, he ended up getting 26 or something. It was in that Giants game. He got there for us. Back on him today, like neither of these teams really play defense. This could be an absolute shootout. Like, yes, there are some obvious plays. Like I think Fields gets a lot of ownership. I think Breece Hall does get some ownership. Garrett Wilson probably gets some ownership, but there's different things we can do within this game, like the Mason Taylor thing. I think that's a phenomenal call at a position where there's like obvious plays at tight end, like with Tyler Warren and McBride. People aren't going to look to Taylor. I think Taylor's really good. Like I love what I saw. I had a great connection with Fields. Ferguson, I think, is definitely, he's going to get some ownership, but it'll get held in check because he's priced right there with Tyler Warren on both sides. And if people aren't stacking and they're just looking for a tight end and they have that sort of money, like who are they going to click, Warren or Ferguson? I think most are picking Warren over Ferguson. So I think, you know, he's a solid option. Pickens, Tolbert, fine plays. So you got guys at every, like these are the games I like where you have plays at every position. You can overstack. You can do things a little bit different within your stacks, like so many different options. Now, who are the popular plays in this game? Like Fields, but what do we know about quarterback? It always gets spread out. So it's never going to be to a point where you have to avoid your favorite quarterback. That's the case with Fields today. Yeah, he's going to get owned, but there's a cap on it because people play so many different quarterbacks. Breece Hall is going to get owned, but we have those 4 really, really cheap running backs that people are going to play. It's going to get held in check. Garrett Wilson, I think, gets ownership, but we have a ton of wide receivers. So I don't think there's anything to really worry about here in terms of ownership. And I think we can fire away at, you know, every position really in this game. So I like it a ton.
Yeah, this is so true. I mean, this one keeps coming up, and I'll say, like, I still prefer Ferguson in a game stack or with, you know, with Dak and all that. And I know you're not saying not to do that, Daniels, but I will say that it's his next favorite safety valve. Like he can get a ton of targets. We've seen it in the past. He could get you 10 targets, 60 yards, no touchdown. And that's probably not doing it. And then the slate's getting crushed everywhere else at tight end. Because like I say, it's all in on Ferguson, Taylor, Ferguson, Warren, and probably McBride when we get there. That's like 60 to 70% of the tight end ownership. So that wouldn't be enough. So just like, again, safety doesn't always mean ceiling. And we're going to need stuff today. And again, we'll see. Tight end, maybe you don't end up needing a ceiling, but if you have that separator there, it's most certainly going to help because I think there's just such an abundance of running backs on the slate. Like Hoop said, you'll need the 3 with the better scores, but if they all have 20 to 25, then it's like there's tons of combinations of those fitting together. And then all the other stuff has to happen. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think the way I like it the most here is the Dak side. I like Dak and then maybe even 3 guys with him. And then you can run it back with Breece Hall, who I think is in a great spot, or you can go Garrett Wilson, or you can mix them all in, whatever you want to do. But I definitely like the Dak side more, and I like stacking it up. And that's why in a portfolio, when I'm not in this spot, I will definitely be interested in Javonte Williams. He reminds me a lot, for anybody who has the stone at SHIPIT Nation, he reminds me a lot of the Bijan Robinson spot last week. I already gave the Genty example of why that would make sense. Like, there's people aren't going away from these plays in this game. But the Bijan Robinson spot last week was, we saw his optimal rate. We recognize that he's probably not going to be that ownership, and he's one of the more likely candidates to moonwalk back. And then that just makes it even better. So I could see that this week in this spot. So I'm thinking about in my non-Dak lineup. And you could stack them too with Dak, but I'm saying my non-Dak lineups to move to that spot a little bit more this week after the fact. Title, back to you, man. Broncos at the Eagles. We talked about Barkley a little bit there a minute ago, and Hoop mentioned him as well. But any thoughts on the Broncos at the Eagles?
Yeah, hardly any. And I want to just touch on this quick. Like, I think the ownership's probably double if this game was in Dallas. So, I mean, you're getting, it's all baked in, projection, props, ownership. It'd be a nuke spot if they were at home. This whole game would be even higher round. As far as this game, I really have nothing. Eagles defense is just a team I really don't like to pick on pretty much ever. So that takes almost everything out from the Broncos side. Dobbins, Harvey, not a split, but there's 2 running backs to worry about. Sutton is a grown man. He's fine, but there's so many good receivers. The other side, this offense has just been so bad. I mean, I know they're beat up front, but like there was a stat I think Levitan posted on Monday, just like the yards per contact that he's been hit, like first contact last year versus this year. And it was like 2 yards difference. I mean, if you're getting hit 1.7 yards downfield, it's really hard to be explosive and good for fantasy. AJ Brown gets Surtain, who's going to be shadowing him all day. It's a 10-game slate. Like, can this game go off? Are there good, like, real-life football players in it? Of course. The matchups seem really tough, though. I can pick plenty of other spots, like Cowboys, Jets. Look at those guys. They're trotting out on defense. I'd just rather target other spots. So nothing really for me. Saquon, if anybody.
Give me a prop thing right quick here. Give me What do we got for Dallas Goedert? Catches and yards parlay. What do we got? And what's the numbers?
So we got 3.5, a little juice on the under for his receiving receptions prop. And then he is 31.5 receiving yards.
And what do we get for that?
I'll have to go on my phone. I'm not logged in. So you go to Hoop and I'll get you
one. I'll let Hoop take it over. I got a bet for you, Hoop. I got a bet for you. That's the one. We got to just get the odds for the people. That's my bet today. I got the over on the yards, over on the catches, parlay, Dallas Goedert, whatever title gets it out to.
I'll put it in. Yep.
Like that. Yeah, I mean, not much on the Broncos side. I mean, this Eagles, I mean, they're just fine winning ugly games and a very good defense. And, you know, maybe some Sutton, if you are playing like Eagle stack, he'd be the only one that I would kind of play on the Broncos side. Eagles, it is tough, but like I think Saquon's ownership comes back a little bit. I think it definitely comes back. People are spending; they're not spending on Saquon, so fine with him as like an ownership sort of play, and really the offense as well. Like Jalen Hurts, going to be low owned. Like they won a slate. What was it, week 2 or week 3? Like they still have the upside. I think it was him with Goddard. So I'm in on it. Like AJ Brown, 6K. I'm going to play some. Should be low owned. I just at this low of ownership, these guys are so talented. Where I'm going to play some like in my 150 portfolio sort of play. You know, if I was hand building, I'm probably not getting here, but within my portfolio, I do want some Philly stuff. Just going to be super low owned. So not super excited to do it, but I'm in just because they're low owned.
Yeah, that was the same thing Ham was selling me on. That was Hurts, Brown, Goddard, and you run it back with Sutton. And again, is that going to happen? Probably not. But that's like way different stack than anybody has on this slate. It's like a powerhouse where if that did come through, that could end up being like 5 touchdowns across the board. Quarterback goes off, runs it in. I like the Saquon call quite a bit more, though. I think, again, just he's a guy at 7,500 on DraftKings. Even at 85, he's 1,000 less than JT on FanDuel. And it's just easier to fit at that point, right? $9,500 running back in Jonathan Taylor on FanDuel. Really hard to fit. 8,500 on FanDuel, a little bit better. And then 7,500 on DraftKings, $200 more than Achane at maybe 1/3 of the ownership and at home in a spot where we could see it happen. So I don't mind it. And what are the Barkley props? I saw you put up the plus 130. What's the Barkley props for 2 touchdowns?
Plus 360.
Okay.
You want to know when we get to the Montgomery props? Oh my gosh. Like the narrative steam on that has been insane.
Well, his sister's there watching him play. So
that's what I mean. He's now like minus 190, something like plus 250. Did I see to score 2? Like the dumbest. We talk about it every week, but he probably gets in. Minus 180, plus 270.
You have to be smart. You have to bet the 3 touchdowns because he was already getting 2, and now his sister's there, so he's getting 3 because he has to get 1 extra one for that reason. Of course, that's how narratives work.
Yeah, what were you gonna say? Saquon, something else is rushing.
What was his anytime to start and his yardage?
His anytime was, what did I just say? Minus 145, pretty low. His yardage on the ground is 81.5.
I just don't. I didn't look up Achane either, but I don't know how different. It just to me, it's like it's probably 1/3 the ownership is what
it's the catches that Achane owns.
Yeah, he'll rack those up for sure. But I mean, that could be a race too if a second touchdown or something like that for Barkley, and who knows. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how the whole slate actually plays out. But I do think this could be part of it. And the Eagles at home, I like the Goddard call too. I mentioned it earlier though. If you want a separator, I definitely like that bet, even at plus 130. Just 3.5 and 31 something yards or something like that. I think they're just going to find him over the middle a bunch. And so I think he's going to be an option that could just start racking up the points and the catches. Hoop, anything else? Anything you want to add on this one? Or if not, we can go to Titans at Cardinals.
Not much to add to this one either. Titans are just tough, man. It is not a fun team to click, and I don't think I'll be clicking any of it. So it makes it easy. On the Cardinal side, apparently, obviously down all their running backs. Michael Carter, 4K on DK, but they did say they plan on using the hot hand approach or whatever that means. I mean, still playable, still fine. I don't mind a little Marvin Harrison. I'm going to play Kyler, so I don't mind a little Marvin Harrison. And then Trey McBride, I think, is fine. I mean, I think Tyler Warren probably is higher owned than McBride. To me, McBride's still tight end 1, so I want some McBride, but nothing too crazy here. No Titans. I'm going to play some Kyler. I'm going to play some Marvin Harrison. I'm going to play some McBride, and I'm going to play some Michael Carter, and nothing exciting in this one for me.
Yeah, I don't know. These are the backup running backs where it's just tough for me. And again, they didn't get any ownership. People thought at the start of the week they were going to be popular. There's just no way when there's 9 other running backs on the slate. And like Hoop said perfectly earlier, you have to get the full outcome from these guys, and they could eat each other's lunch, like all those different factors. So I think the Cardinals D is going to be something that, I don't know. I think it comes down a little bit from the ownership we're seeing. I actually could see McBride's ownership coming down a little bit, but he's still going to be massively owned. I'm just saying, just because it's the other two guys in Ferguson and in Warren that people just seem to want a lot more of. And maybe they're just moving away from this game. But that's why I like what Hoop said. If you are going to go to this spot, I think it's like Kyler, McBride, Kyler, Harrison, McBride, whatever you want to do. And then you don't even need to run it back. You can just shut it down on the other side. Title, do you got anything you want to add in this one?
No, I'm on the same page. I like Kyler quite a bit. Just ownership's not showing for one of the higher team totals against one of the worst team in football, like something. 8.5 point favorites are expected to score.
Yeah.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty drop. That's another narrative we can get in here.
Yeah, I mean, McBride's a stud. If he finds the box, like he almost always gets there at a weak-ish tight end position with only a handful of guys that feel good. So he's the easy pairing. And seeing Marvin Harrison around 5%, the price is still super low. He has his games. He can look so bad. The Seahawks in the first half. I mean, he stops on his route, drop all this, and he still gets at 18 because Kyler keeps going back to him. Marvin Harrison easily has 2 touchdown upside in a spot like this at very low ownership. Kyler's not going to be very owned. Then you don't even have to worry about the running back room because I'm concerned. The props, plus 130 for Carter to score, plus 260 for DeMercado. Then you go to the receiving yards. DeMercado's a little ahead of Michael Carter. I mean, I'm not even convinced. DeMercado is the one that scored the touchdown when Trey Benson was healthy in the Seattle game on that Thursday night. It was the late drives, and DeMercado was getting all the passing work. I'm worried. Michael Carter's a little fella. You can't miss that running back. I really don't love it. That's kind of why I just want to go to the passing game, and that's how I hope they score their points. And ownership outside of McBride's just not there, so I like it.
Yeah, I guess the other thing you could do, because Kenny brought up a good point here. It is hard to see it, but usually it's gonna be him with his legs or something like that. Just get lucky inside the end zone, red zone area. But you could do something like Kyler, McBride, and the Cardinals D, and just hope that Kyler does enough on the ground, a little bit of something on the ground, maybe runs one in. It's not one of those running backs. He gets a couple to just McBride, or McBride gets 10. 105 and a touchdown, and it's solid enough, and then the defense just tees off. That would be another different way to play it. It's like a mini onslaught of you're just rolling 3 guys, not 4 or 5, but you're just going to run the triple and just hope that they just team up and go against these Titans and crush. So that'd be the other way I would think about running something like that. Title, I'll stay with you. I think this is the second of the afternoon games. Yeah, we're getting to it now. So Bucks at the Seahawks. Looks like JSN, Rashad White, that little combo pack could be popular, but at least JSN at the $7,100 price tag seems to be getting a bunch of even one-off love this week too. So thoughts on this game, Bucks at the Seahawks?
Yeah, I mean, JSN, Rashad White looks strong. They already came out and said Rashad White will get most of the work. There is still Sean Tucker, and they mentioned some other random name they want to get a work or two. I'm still going to approach it like it's Rashad White's backfield. I don't really love, JSN, just the receiving room without Jeffrey. There's a lot of good receivers not on this slate. Also, just with the quarterback injuries at the receiver position, these top guys just haven't been like that outside of Puka, who's obviously not on the slate, but his target share at 7-1 on a full point site is really, really strong. Outside of those two, though, I've really struggled. I'm debating on what to do with Ibuka. Like, he can't be owned. He has a very tough matchup, but it's just one of those guys that I could maybe just be overweight every single week. He has no competition. He seems to always be open. Baker obviously likes him, and it's a way to maybe just go get different in a skinny stack. You play JSN instead of going white like everyone else does. You go Ibuka and you get some leverage there. So I've been going back and forth. Curious to hear your thoughts. Again, matchup on paper, very tough. Bet on talent. Production's been there. You can easily see them. So, yeah, it's those three, really.
Yeah, I think it's going to be stacking in this game is, a way to get there. Like, that's the whole setup. It's like, if you want to go the Baker side, I think it's like Ibuka, Otten. You can put Rachaad White in there as well. And that's a definite different way to play JSN. I also think there's a possibility of, if you want to roll like Kenneth Walker here, there's just so many running backs on this slate already that it's tricky, but that he's obviously big leverage off of JSN, both sites, because on FanDuel, JSN is 8,500. Kenneth Walker only 67. So if you really want some of this, or you're thinking about that, it's a way to do that, because it looks like you can still pretty easily get to JSN on FanDuel, and it seems like people are, and especially because Rachaad White is so popular. He's only $500 more on FanDuel than DraftKings. That little two-player combo secondary stack is popping up a bunch more. So JSN is interesting, Kenneth Walker is interesting, Hoop, but I think it's more as like a leverage play on FanDuel, where he's only $400 more than his DraftKings price, and he's way lower owned than JSN.
Yeah, the Walkers, I'm just out on that. Like, there's so many running back plays. Like, man, like, I just keep going back. Like, I want a guy that's going to get like a majority of the work today and have the ability to put up big score. I mean, yeah, Walker can still put up big score, even splitting a little bit, but I don't see it on this slate. Like, the only thing I'm playing on the Seattle side is like what everyone else is playing, and that's JSN. And I don't mind a little Darnold. He's cheap. Like, I'll keep him in the player pool. So, but mostly JSN. 7,100 on DK is way too cheap. And like you said, the 85 on FanDuel, probably a little more of a decision. Where he really benefits from like full PPR DK scoring. On the Tampa side, Rachaad White, out of all those cheap running backs, by far my favorite. He's looked very good this year. He's been in a RB1 sort of role in the past. He knows what it's all about. He has pass catching upside. I think he's a really, really good play today at his price tag. Better on DK, where he has more outs with the full PPR. He can rack up a lot of receptions, which obviously scores a little better there. But I think he's a really strong play on both sides. Ibuka, I'll be in on. I mean, he's going to be low owned, and the guy just continues to get the job done. And I know there's some comments with Godwin. What was it, 10 targets last week? If they're playing from behind, like, he's going to continue to get the work. Yeah, 10 targets. I mean, obviously not on the same page, only converted 3 of those, but 10 targets is a big number. If they're playing from behind, could be the same. So, yeah, I mean, on this, I mean, my favorite play for sure. I mean, it's what everyone's thinking in this game. Rachaad White and JSN, but it is what it is, and I like them both. But I really do like White. Like I said, I think of all the cheap running backs, to me, he's by far the best.
Yeah, Darnold, JSN with Rachaad White. You could wrap it up that way maybe, but man, it's there's 2 other games that I would still talk about here in a minute that I would stack before this one too. But on the FanDuel side, like I said, it's definitely interesting with the Baker stuff, and then the thing about Kenneth Walker, at least it's somewhat interesting. And again, it's way more of a FanDuel thing for me. So I'm just talking for both sides. I know some people like when we bring up the other side and we don't do a full roundup at the end. But it's like that's the whole point of the build is if Rachaad White is going to be super popular. He's going to be, I think he's more popular on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings, even though ownership doesn't fully dictate it. It's tricky sometimes, but the way the builds go, from what I've seen, it's noticeable in that you're saying that that's not the way it's going to go. So when you already flip Walker in, you are getting leverage too on the fact that you're moving against the running back while still moving off the wide receiver on the same team that is super popular. But again, I like these last 2 games even better. So let's move to those. Hoop, I'll stay with you. It's your Detroit Lions in Cincinnati going up against the Bengals. And this is a 30-point team total on the road for the Lions, something like that. We've seen this play out before. So let's see what you think of this. But big time favorites going into to go against the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those, I guess, probably unique spots where a team's projected to score 30, maybe a little south of 30 actual points, and it's not going to be super, super popular. Like it's kind of unique, I would say. And you got a team that is willing to run up the score, which we've seen this season. Like they're going to continue to push the pace all the way through and not slow down. So I think there's an opportunity here to take advantage of that situation. Jared Goff, I've shit on the guy, and I guess, I've taken L's, so I'm done kind of taking the L's, but going to be low owned and has like multiple ways to stack them, and they're projected to score 30. You can play them with Amon-Ra. Jamison Williams at 4,900, way too cheap. Sam Laporta, again, like he hasn't had big games, but he has the capability. Now the price is only 4,200. You compare him with the running back in Jahmyr Gibbs, who on his own is a good play at 77. I think, if people are spending, it's Achane and then Jonathan Taylor, and Gibbs is not going to be super low owned, but he's going to be lower owned than those guys. I think he's a phenomenal play. You guys have already touched on the David Montgomery stuff, whatever that whole situation is. You guys can touch on it again, but, he could score multiple touchdowns here. But again, it's like, even with David Montgomery, like he's got to probably score 2. There's a lot of guys in really good spots here. He doesn't really catch passes all that often, so he's got to do something big. Problem clearly is the run back. I don't think you even have to. Even if you go Lions onslaught, I don't think you necessarily need to run back a Bengals guy. It's looks so bad. But if you're still into the Jamar Chase thing, he's going to be very, very low owned today, and you can go that route, but I probably wouldn't go anywhere else. But I think the Lions are in a unique spot, projected to score 30, and when you take that into consideration, I think relatively low owned compared to their team total.
Zim got you in the chat. Keep shitting on Goff so we can use him.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's worked out well after week 1.
Yeah, titled the sharp move here is just to overstack the game, right? Like you just have Goff, Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, Laporta, who can definitely really bust this tight end slate up today. We talked about just those other guys are just a little bit more money. You get to Warren, you get to Ferguson, you got other options there. I talked about Goddard at 4,100, but you got Laporta right here in this game. And then you don't even have to run it back, or you could, right? You could go Jamar Chase, Higgins, whatever. But, what's your thoughts on this game? Lions at the Bengals, big team total for the Lions.
Yeah, I am thinking that if I do go Goff and I play like 2 pass catchers, I probably want a Bengal, just for the sense of I'm expecting the Lions then to be putting up 35 plus or something. And then if the Bengals are going to drop back every play, you have Chase, you have Higgins. Like they can just get there on PPR alone. Chase is my preferred play. Man, it's the offensive line and stuff so bad. I don't think Browning's terrible. And it's been clear Jamar Chase is his favorite guy. There's enough value on the slate to make it work. So if I am onslaughting it, I do prefer running back, and I do prefer Chase. Jamison Williams, if anyone watched that game last week, he could have had 32 easily if they could. They were so close on multiple home run plays. Like he's going to get his soon. I know he had it 1 week. I really like JMO for the price. Laporta's another one. A guy I almost never play. But like a tight end room that's so concentrated right now on McBride and Warren and then Ferg, like he's the pivot of the pivot of the pivot, and they're implied for 30 points against a bad defense. So I think he's strong. There's nothing bad to say about Amon-Ra. The targets are there. It's easy to play him. Gibbs, like he's going to be in check. It's the same thing with the Lions every week. Like they're always implied for a bunch of points, but they have a whole plethora of guys, including a head coach, that'll get his offensive lineman and left tackle in the box sometimes. So it's just really tough to stack them. But tough is good. That's why the ownership is more condensed than it would be if it's or more spread out than it only is if there was 2 guys. So when they do completely go off, they always seem to be like single digits or low teens. So I do want a decent amount of Lions. I don't know. What are your thoughts? I guess you prefer the overstacking than just playing Jamison Williams and hoping it's him, or Gibbs and hoping it's him, or just one of these guys is a one-off?
Yeah, if I'm not overstacking, it's going to be more likely to just be like Gibbs and the Lions D and just jam it.
I like Lions D again.
Yeah, well, they were fine last week. You had the great call on them. And so it's like, the thing here is this week is they're still getting squeezed because they're in between Other people want Indy at home, with makes sense. I like that with Jonathan Taylor. And then also Arizona's up against Tennessee. So it's like you're getting all the way up there. Why not? And Tennessee just gets crushed. So I think it's at least a somewhat interesting spot to go back to the Lions here. And Gibbs and Montgomery can, it could be either of them, sure. The slate to me is there's too many running back options for it to be both. I know the chat keeps talking about that. I think on paper it could be both. Like you could do a Gibbs Montgomery anytime touchdown parlay and put that together. They both could score a touchdown. It's what Hoop said though earlier. Who's going to be actually needed in the setup of all the points, and when they're going to have a chance to cannibalize each other, that's going to be the problem there. I think the overstack is interesting too. Like you mentioned, you posed to me, but like the chat's talking about it, and I had to go look it up because I didn't think it was right. Like Goff doesn't get there when his guys do. 26, 26, 41, 35, 25, 27, just had 31. Like the guy always gets it. Like he has all kinds of points with his dudes. And if they're the ones racking them up, this is what I said to Mayo on Friday. If you got Jamison Williams getting 150 yards and a touchdown, that's a touchdown for Goff and halfway to the yardage bonus. And we're just getting started. They're putting up 30, 40 points probably. So that's where that comes from. And again, different ways you could play it. But just saying, if you are going to overstack it, I like that. And I think there is some sort of keep up on the other side. Even Alex on the Leverage Lane show yesterday, he was talking about Browning, Chase, Higgins, and then run it back. It's a bit more aggressive, but Browning will just have to drop back, right? And that's why I like I said earlier, with Gibbs and the Lions D and stuff like that too. I think he has to. If
I'm doing that, I'm playing 2 Lions and just hoping they get up 14-0, 6 minutes in, and then Brown. And like I can see it. I'm like I saw Nades. We always like messing with our man Nades. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to really be playing it, but the path is clearly there, and it like they could get blown out by 21, but they just got behind so early that it was just 13 catches, 9 catches, and they both score a touchdown.
They're fantasy points. They rack up. We talked about Sheets' example. They got blown out. Yeah. The Raiders got blown out that week, and only Trey Tucker did anything. Bowers and Myers in his lineup didn't even do shit, but they still put up enough because they just dropped back and threw it a million times, and you rack up points for that. That's all. We're playing a fantasy points game. It's like we talked about the Ds earlier. People are out there looking for shutouts. Like, yeah, that's an added bonus and nice, but even Houston last week with the shutout was 18 points because there was not much else that went with it. It was just the sacks and the few things that racked up. So it's like you need to have fantasy points. We're playing a fantasy points game. I hope people know that by now, but it's like it can rack up even in a giant L here. And there is ways to wrap this game up and make it a pretty big one. Anything else you got there, Title?
Nope.
Hoop, anything else you want to add to that one? If not, Hoop, I'll let you take us to the final game of the slate, the Commanders at the Chargers. Another interesting one, actually, in my eyes, and I'll talk more on it in a minute. But anything else there, Hoop? If not, Commanders at Chargers.
I kind of zoned out there for a minute when someone started mentioning Browning doubles. Are we over? Are we done with that now? Are we done? Are we done talking about that? Because I literally blacked out.
If it wins, though, we get to clip that and bring you back in and say with the part where you zoned out, and then all the money hits with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be a great clip, but man, I might be willing just to pay out the millie at that point. We'll do a double millie if Browning doubles win. I'll pay out the highest SHIPIT Nation number with a Browning double. How about that?
And this is like, I'm talking about golf numbers, and he. By the way, I don't even have to look this one up. He played more than 4 games last season, so there's a lot of golf stats out there that you can find.
That was a crazy story yesterday with Mark Sanchez. That was wild, man. Absolutely wild. I mean, there hasn't been many details or videos or anything coming out, but man, I'm curious to see how that whole thing plays out. Just insane.
Yeah, just it kept getting more and more wild, like the DoorDash or something, like the driver. I don't know. It's too wild of a story, but crazy.
Yeah. The last game, I think it's a solid game. Like Jaden Daniels coming back. They say no restrictions. Terry McLaurin out. I'm interested in this. I mean, if we assume Jaden Daniels is 100% or 90%, like what if we knew he was 100%? There's no injury. We're on this slate this week. He's 7K. Like he would be massively owned. Like he would probably be the highest. He'd be right there with Fields in terms of ownership because of the rushing floor and whatnot. Like he would be way up there. Well, now there's some injury concerns, and they said he's wearing a brace, and now no one wants to play him. We're showing, where is that? We're showing 4% ownership on him, like, man, I gotta be overweight on that situation. And it's easy to play him. It's like you don't have a ton of options. It's like you play him with Debo, you play him with Zach Ertz, or play him naked and hope he scores 2 touchdowns. So I'm gonna be doing all that. Like, I'm fine playing him without any pass catchers. I'm fine playing him with Debo. I'm fine playing him with Ertz. And then you have a lot of run backs on the other side, like Hampton, 3 wide receivers, Quentin Johnson. Maybe can we go back to calling McConkey the donkey at this point, or should I wait? Because last time I called him McConkey the donkey, he absolutely went off. So
that was the week one of the playoff, right? When he had like 200 on Houston.
He knew. Because I am playing him today, so I'm going to officially call him McConkey the donkey. So make sure to increase your McConkey exposure today. He's done absolutely nothing this year. Keenan Allen, fine option. So you got ways to run it back. I'm good with Herbert for sure. I mean, obviously last week was Hampton. They could easily go back to the passing stuff. And the nice thing with Herbert is a lot of different ways to play him. You can play him with all those pass catchers. You can play him with 2 of those pass catchers and maybe run back Debo on the other side. I think it's a good game. But I am more interested, I think, in the Commander side because Jaden Daniels at 7K and the low ownership. But I think it's a good game and a lot of different ways to go about playing it.
Yeah, Hampton seems like a guy that the steam is real title just because it moved up. Go ahead. Did you say something?
No.
Oh, I thought Hoop was jumping in on that. I was gonna say, but yeah, the Hampton stuff at the start of the week seemed like he could be the guy that would be like Genty, for example, because of the setup where like if everyone's gonna be in this. But what I think happened, title, is people can't figure out which of those 3 wide receivers, all in the like a $200 price difference between them, 55, 56, 5,700. They're deciding to not do that as much. So what happened is like those guys all got held in check and have come down. Herbert's not going to be as popular as what you might have thought. And then the Debo stuff is easy on the other side, but he's also 6,300. So I don't know. I just feel like this game, it just became Hampton and that's all. And everyone else has just a little bit of ownership around them. What do you think of this one?
I'm afraid you're right. And I say I'm afraid because, I mean, Hampton, he's only 22, so I don't know if I can say grown-ass man, but he runs like one. I mean, this dude's different. He can catch passes. He's explosive. He has that home run hitting ability. But I am worried, like you're saying. I mean, the price is still so good that if you just can't get all the way to Achane or Taylor, like people can just play one of them, a Hampton or Brees kind of in that range, and then punt with a White or a Carter, any of that. Oh, man, it's tough because I think you're right. And I'm going to be in on this Chargers offense every week. I mean, they throw the ball a ton. They have 3 options. I think Herbert's good. I think Hampton's good. I think they move the football most weeks. It's just, which one is it? I think I just got to tell myself it's Johnson right now. Like, I think I rank it Johnson, and then I don't really care between the two. A lot of that's just, though, he has that one play 65-yard boom. Like, Ladd's been dropping out routes. It's all in the middle of the field. Keenan and Herbert's rapport is nasty. So maybe I say Keenan's 2, but I try to go to props to get a feeling. 65.5 receiving yards, Johnson, 56.5. McConkey, 54.5 Keenan. So slightly Johnson, pretty close though. Touchdowns, 165 Johnson, 170 Keenan, 215 Ladd. So I guess books are kind of seeing it the same how I see it. But I like Herbert a lot. When you play Herbert, you can just double them up. Pick 2 of the 3 and move on. I think playing all 3 would be a mistake. I guess Hampton, you can play with him, but I don't love it in the sense of he's already getting enough ownership. You're almost wanting to leverage off that a little bit to hope other guys get there. So I like this spot a lot in the sense of I'll play Hampton by himself or I'll play Herbert doubles and move on from there. I'm not really on the Commander stuff. The knee brace I saw, if he's wearing that same one I saw when he was going through walkthrough, that thing looked pretty big. I'm worried that they're not going to use his legs or he'll be more of a pocket passer. If that's the case and I'm right, it's harder for him to hit the ceiling. What Hoop said, though, at 2%, if he does use his legs and he is normal Jaden, you just don't get – I think they're pushed and you don't see that ownership with a clear pairing in Debo, Ertz if you want, that you can do that. But I don't love the Commander side. I'm sad because you said it might be a mistake, but I was actually thinking about running the Geno against Washington, just playing all 3. Like it's 15, what is it, 16K for all 3. If Herbert goes off, it's probably 3 touchdowns you're going to need. They're likely to be most to those guys. Obviously, Hampton gets in the way, but I think Hampton's team has got there now. It may be better for like
a 5,000 person field or less. I think that's correct.
I was going to say 1,000 or less almost.
Yeah, I think it needs to be like the 555 milli or less. And even then you'll have to get pretty lucky. But yeah, I hear where you're coming from on that. Now it makes more sense. So it's just so hard because trying to pick the two, it's, what's going to happen.
So
you go to Ladd, you go to Quentin, and it ends up being Keenan Allen day. It's like all that stuff. So I don't know. It's tough to say.
Quentin's just, man, from everything I've seen and just how downfield his targets and stuff are, like when Herbert stuff fully gets there, it feels like, at least how this year's offense has been, he's the most likely to bring him along because of that big play upside. But I mean, it was just last year, and we're very small sample. We're still in the first couple of weeks where we think we might know everything and we don't. Like Hoop said, not too long ago, did Ladd go for like 200 on Houston and just completely put up a score you need. So he can do it. It's a game I like, though. This Chargers team, I'll be playing a lot in DFS. I think it's a good football team that can move the ball.
Which would you take, Hoop?
Definitely not Brown. There's not a scenario. There's not. I'm telling you right now, though. If you could come up with a scenario where I'm not selecting the other side of Jake Browning doubles, I'd be shocked. Herbert triples for sure. Yes, Herbert triples. But I will say though, not with the 3 wide receivers. Though, if I was doing that, it would be 2 wide receivers, and I'd just play that cheap tight end and hope he does something.
Yeah.
The problem with doing the 3 wide receivers, it's like, man, like you need 3 wide receivers from the same team. You basically are saying no other wide receivers going off today for the most
It's
part.
correlation nation, baby. That's what it is. It all goes back to your quarterback. So at least that's the point. But I
need him to throw for like 450 or something, 450 and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's a small field play. Or what you do so that you don't have the FOMO is you build your lineup so it can only fit like Debo, Ladd, and Allen. It's like, I couldn't afford Quentin, so I never would have had that no matter what. You gotta get your mind right on how you build it out. I didn't have that $100, so I could never have got that one.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Anything else, Title, from you? Anything you want to add? Anything you want to talk about before we get out of here?
Yeah, just a late swap component. Again, only 10 games, but 4 of them are in the afternoon window. And like McBride's going to get some ownership. Carter's not really showing some, I thought, beginning of the week. JSN's getting ownership. Rashad White's getting ownership. Devo maybe a little bit. We just talked about the Hamptons, some of the pass catchers. It really feels like the spot. Like if you need a late swap off of some chalk, the Lions just all seem under-owned for their upside. So I think right now, again, SaberSim, powerful tool. Late swap's important in all sports. But I think if I have to get off chalk pieces, Gibbs, Amon-Ra, J-Mo, Laporta, like that game can nuke, and it's getting held in check. So don't forget about the late ad. If you're a premium member, Rio and Sheets will be actually live streaming their late swap process today. Really cool stuff. So yeah, if you're a member, I would definitely make sure to check that one out.
Yeah, I love that call. Great call there. It's going to be exciting. A lot of the members have been waiting on that. This is another good bet.
That would be very painful. That would be painful.
Like just bet that this can happen. And he won't even end up on the team.
43 and didn't he get there that 1 week, Tambo? 43 and a half, like 0.9%.
Yeah, he nuked.
And it was the same week that Bucky Irving was the mass chalk and still got like 25. They just ran all over them.
White got his too, I want to say. I thought, or like, was Bucky hurt and White and him got there, or did all 3 get there?
I can't remember, but Bucky had already done his job. We were like, he could have had even more. But yeah, Sean Tucker just smashed. That was crazy.
Yeah.
I like the late swap call out. I like the Saber series call out. That's exclusive to members only. So if you're using Saber at another site, or if you're using Saber on Saber, that's one of the values in coming over to SHIPIT Nation with anything. If you're adding it on, whatever it might be, a guy like Sheets and Rio, 2 super users of SaberSim that are showing you exactly their process using our stuff, putting it all together, and this today being their late swap process. That's going to be pretty powerful. I know a lot of people are going to love that. You can check it if you can't make it live. You could still use all the concepts and theory from that and watch it back Monday to be prepped for next week or whatever it might be. Just always a good idea.
Obviously, it's always in the media alerts, but it's on the site too under.
We tag it in the channel. It's on the media alerts, and then members have access under the SaberSim drop down in the top left, or if you're on mobile, the 3 little lines that you go under SaberSim, it's under the live Q&A, and then it's dated and what it is. So you'll be able to find it pretty easily there if you're a member.
Yeah. I'm just going to add one thing. I know we had the nice run of random tight ends last season that kind of paid off. And I don't know, this isn't like super random, but it's going to be Mason Taylor, man. I think it's a Mason Taylor day at tight end. Like people are onto him a little bit, but I think we're definitely ahead of the curve potentially here. 2,800. Fields is looking to him a ton. So I think it's either 100 yards or 2 touchdowns for Mason Taylor today. I think that's going to be the call. Again, like he's not a complete unknown guy, but everyone's going to be playing Warren. Everyone's going to play McBride, and there's some other names in there. But Mason Taylor, tight end day today.
All right, I'll round out the show because you gave me the segue out, Hoop, and that's what it is. By the way, it is Taylor week. Taylor Swift, new album just dropped. We got Jonathan Taylor, Mason Taylor, the required pieces that you're going to need to have success this week. Guys, really appreciate it. Do us a favor on the way out. Make sure you hit that like. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're going to have a ton more free shows coming up. That's going to do it for week 5 for Title, for Hoop, for myself, ToeTagginTambo. Let's ship it.